It is a bit of a delay and the lights are out. Away we go. And how good of a start has Oscar Piastri been able to do? He has done tremendously well off the start recently, but it's a long run down into turn 2. And Oscar Piastri, I think George Russell, who did have issues with his transponder earlier on, is running down the back of the field here. And I think Russell's had a very poor start. We'll see. But I think Max Verstappen has got to head into turn 2, as we predicted he would do. Piastri still on the track here, but Verstappen leads into turn 2 from Oscar Piastri, and well, this will provide us a tremendous race here today as Charles Leclerc makes up positions, as Behrman loses the position to Nico Hülkenberg there, but George Russell, a bit of a delay on the data at the start of this race, is indeed in third place. Norris unable to make a position there, but Verstappen, a brilliant start from him as he went around the outside of Oscar Piastri actually. He was late on the brakes, unbelievable move by Max Verstappen on Oscar Piastri. He didn't go down the inside, he went around the outside. Tremendous late braking from Max Verstappen, and Oscar Piastri had the foresight and awareness to see that Verstappen was around his outside. Not aggressive there from Piastri, he got caught napping by the Dutchman, and well, now Verstappen is leading by 1 second from Oscar Piastri, with George Russell in P3, Lando Norris is in P4, with Alonso in P5, Sainz in 6th, Albon in 7th, Stroll is 8th, Gasly's made up a position into P9 as Hadjar has lost 2 positions to Gasly and Charles Leclerc. Lewis Hamilton's actually lost a position to Kimi Antonelli as we cross the start-finish line for the first time. Max Verstappen is leading just under a second from Oscar Piastri as DRS is now activated, but that was a brilliant move by Max Verstappen. Other than Verstappen and Piastri, the top 8 are as they started, but Leclerc, fastest in the first sector for him. He's up a position and he's trying to chase down Pierre Gasly, and he's got past Pierre Gasly as Gasly is falling through the field here. Gasly has an issue. Unfortunately. He's falling through the field. It was expected to be a good weekend for the Alpine driver. What has occurred there? Is it a mechanical issue, or did he just run wide? Did Leclerc potentially force him out of racing room? We will see. I'm waiting to see the replay of Charles Leclerc and Pierre Gasly, and I think through the hairpin there, I think Leclerc has forced... No, so actually it's on the run up to turn 9. I'm watching the replay now, and what happened? Charles Leclerc was on the inside, and Gasly just, understeered through the gravel, and he is okay. He is continuing, and well... Leclerc left him plenty of room, and Gasly just understeered, didn't have enough grip to carry the speed required through turn 9, and just bounced his way through. Very good car control in the end. Very easily could have gone into a spin there, but that's why Gasly is now down into 14th place. He's lost 5 positions there, coming a bit unstuck behind George Russell, who's just cleverly positioning in his car, and he really needs an brilliant drive out of the last corner there. But let's see, once again, round 2 for Lando Norris on George Russell. Will he have enough down into turn 2? It looks like he's got a better drive than he did last time around. Will Russell be able to defend from the McLaren here? Yes, he will, as Lando is just holding back as Gasly is decided to pit here. But what about the exit? Is he going to be able to carry the speed and get past George Russell into the Villeneuve chicane? No, George Russell cleverly positions his car again. And well, this is not so much racecraft issue from Lando right now. This is more so brilliant car positioning for George Russell, knowing that it is very difficult to overtake here at Imola. This is track knowledge, and this is what George Russell is currently applying in a slower car and making it more difficult for Lando in the quicker car to overtake. George Russell, though, and Lando, we go again. Let's see. Lando a bit closer than last time. He's under half a second out of the exit of turn 18. Will he have enough to be able to force the issue and get on the inside, as Leclerc is already pitting? So we are starting to see early pit stops here, earlier than expected. And Lando, then George Russell, they're side by side into turn 2, but Russell positions his car again on the inside, and Lando is not able to use that grip and get around him. But they go into turn 5. Does Lando have the drive? It seems like they do. They're side by side into the entry of Villeneuve chicane, and Lando has finally got past George Russell, but George Russell's coming back at him into turn 7. This is allowing Alonso to get back on the rear of them as well, and well, Lando defends into turn 7 and holds off George Russell, and as Piastri is stating, I think Plan A is very ambitious at the moment, so no doubt that's probably the one stop, as it's a purple lap from Charles Leclerc. He's gone out ahead of Alonso. The undercut is tremendous here today, as Charles Leclerc has made up arguably 5 positions, I think, from that early undercut. Have we just seen a good strategy call from Ferrari? I think maybe we have done. The one stop does seem to be a push here today, as Oscar Piastri says plan A is a bit ambitious at the moment, and you do suspect plan A is the one stop, which is so often the case here at Imola because of that long pit lane. Of course, Charles Leclerc is going to be, as Ocon has pulled over here. Esteban Ocon has pulled over, and well, that is not a safe place for your car to be unless he's pulled that over in a safe place. Has he crashed? Is it a mechanical issue? He pitted very early on for a front wing damage, and well, Esteban Ocon, the yellow flag is out. They're waiting a very long time to assess whether or not this will be a safety car or a VSC. So has he been able to pull that car? And it's a VSC, and Lando has just pitted. Lando has just pitted, and he has just missed out on a 10-second advantage. Max Verstappen, who comes around the last corner right now, is about to get a 10-second advantage in a pit stop here. Unbelievable timing of the VSC. Unbelievable poor timing for Lando as he just took the full extent of a pit stop. Unbelievably great timing for Max Verstappen, because unless this goes to a full safety car, Max Verstappen is going to gain 10 seconds over Oscar Piastri, who was fully within his pit window. It was going to be neck and neck as Verstappen would come out the pit lane, but now it's going to be comfortable for Max. So let's see if this VSC, and so just looking at the TV coverage, it is a mechanical failure for Esteban Ocon, and he's parked on the grass on the left-hand side. So on the inside here, where his icon is, he's basically here. I'm not entirely sure how that could be. Why? I'm surprised that's not a full safety car, to be perfectly honest with you, but we'll see. As look at the gap between Piastri and Verstappen. Unbelievable fortune for Max Verstappen there as the VSC came out. 24 seconds is the gap to Verstappen and Piastri right now. Lando Norris, he could have been a lot closer to Verstappen, or at least been ahead of his teammate fighting for this race win. But both McLarens missing out on that VSC, and that has been, sometimes you're on the side of a good safety car, sometimes you're not. And well, pitting just one lap too early. Max Verstappen, Lando Norris has not benefited from that VSC, and Max Verstappen has, as we have all drivers who are yet to make a pit stop dive into the pit lane. George Russell is on another pit stop as well, as Tsunoda and Sainz has been noted for causing a collision. Hamilton fastest last sector on a fresh set of mediums, but as Hamilton is on the charge here to try and overtake Antonelli, he lost a position to the driver that replaced him at Mercedes at the start of this race, and Hamilton gets past Antonelli into turn 2, and Lewis Hamilton dispatches the 18-year-old Italian racing at his home circuit, and Hamilton will now be looking to overtake Isaac Hadjar, the driver that idolises him, who is doing tremendously well in P5 at this moment in time, as I'm watching the collision between Carlos Sainz and Yuki Tsunoda. And well, that's very, I don't know why that's even being noted, to be perfectly honest with you. They kind of just banged wheels. I think that's just fair racing. That's just hard but fair racing. I don't know why it's even being investigated. Just looking to see if there was any damage that was caused. I don't see if there's a penalty given there for either driver. I think that's very unfortunate, and should the stewards really need to look at themselves. But we'll keep noted of whether or not any further is brought of that. But as Hadjar is now about to be overtaken by Lewis Hamilton, who was patient last time around, and it's a simple overtake for Hamilton down into turn 2, and Hamilton is now up into P5, up 7 positions today. The Ferrari's much better in race trim than it seems in quali trim, that is for sure, and their race pace actually hasn't been too bad when you look at the lap times compared to the Red Bulls. They have been behind, of course, the McLarens. The McLarens are the quickest here today, but track position is key, and Max Verstappen is comfortably out front. Nothing untoward that he needs to do right now. He needs to just see this through for the next 28 laps, 27, apologies, as he crosses the start-finish line for the 37th time, because if there is a potential late safety car, he needs to ensure that he has plenty of life in his tyres for a race restart. And it might require, it's a safety car! Safety car! Oh my goodness. Drama here with 18 laps remaining, and this is what we said could potentially happen. He has pulled over a bit further up into the grass where Esteban Ocon pulled over as well, but because he is further up the hill, he is recovery vehicle will be required. Max Verstappen is into the pits. He's going on for a fresh set of boots, so no doubt everyone else will as well. We are in for a drama-filled remaining 17 laps of this race, or 13 odd laps of this race when we eventually get going again. But we have got a showdown here, guys, at the end of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. We'll be joining the back of the safety car as Oscar Piastri has got ahead of Lando Norris, as Lando Norris has decided to pit, and he's going to come out behind Alex Albon. It's a race to the line, and I think Alex Albon, oh my God, Lando Norris, did he get out and stay ahead of Alex Albon there? I don't know. We will see. Oscar Piastri, who is staying on the same set of tyres that he had because he has no fresh sets available to him because he's already made that pit stop. So let's see what happens here as as Lando Norris is now in P3. He's going to have considerably fresher tyres to potentially overtake his teammate though. But it's about the drive to the pit exit line with Alex Albon and Lando Norris. So I'm watching the TV coverage now. It was a drag race to that line. Did Lando Norris stay ahead of Alex Albon? And he... Oh, I don't know from that angle if he did. I don't know from that angle if Lando Norris stayed ahead of Alex Albon. It was very close. Oh, I'm not sure who stayed ahead there. I think Lando did. I think he did. There's no investigation just yet. Oh, that was tight. Super tight there. Piastri didn't pit because he has no fresh new tyres available to him. So he has already used his second brand new set of hards available to him. The only other tyre he can go on to is the super soft tyre, basically the soft tyre, the C6, and we know that tyre will not last 17, 15 laps on Piastri. I think we are now going to see, guys, it's the 7th race of the season, and I think we are now finally going to see the two McLaren drivers fight it out on track. I'm all here for it. I'm all here for it, guys. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. If you are enjoying this race, guys, hit that like and subscribe button. The track is clear and we are ready to go racing. Is Max Verstappen going to go early, or will he wait for the very last moments because it is a very long drag down into turn 2? How confident will Max feel in that Red Bull car? And I think he's gone. He's using the grip that he has on those brand new hard compound tyres. And well, he's already pulled out a little bit of a gap on Oscar Piastri, who is on 22 lap old hards. We have 10 laps remaining here. Lando Norris behind Oscar Piastri. Charles Leclerc close behind him as well, but he's on hard tyres, and Leclerc's going to go for a move on Norris, I think, down into turn 2, and Norris has to go defensive there and loses a bit of ground to Oscar Piastri. But that is important for Lando to ensure that he didn't lose a position to Charles, because now he can focus on Piastri ahead, who is already losing and already nearly out of the DRS of Max Verstappen on those brand new fresh set of hards. That's allowed Sainz and Hadjar to close up there and form a little bit of a train. But let's see, Charles Leclerc holding off Alex Albon as well. Lando, DRS open. He hasn't got the gap, I think, but he may have the drive here on Oscar Piastri. Let's see if he's going to go down into turn 2. No. Comfortable for Oscar Piastri there as Hamilton gets past George Russell down into turn 2, and Sainz is also potentially losing a position to Isaac Hadjar. They're going side by side. Overtakes a galore here down into turn 2 on this race restart. 7 laps remaining. How close can he stay out of the last corner? He is a lot closer. He's around a 10.5 closer than he was the previous time around. He's going to have DRS, and well, it could be side by side between the two McLarens as they head down into turn 2. He's definitely side by side already as they head into turn 2. It's all about the braking, and they're side by side as they head down into turn 2. The two McLarens, and Lando has got ahead of Piastri into turn 2. But will Piastri come back at him down into turn 5? Lando's going to defend, and yes, Lando holds off Oscar Piastri. The first time we've seen the McLaren drivers go toe-to-toe this season, and Lando dispatches Piastri. A difference in strategy today. Lando, who started P4, is up into P2 and dispatches his teammate, the championship leader, but he will be closing down that championship lead today. But let's stay on board with Leclerc and Albon. Albon's going to go again. Hamilton's going to be looking to capitalise on these two going side by side, potentially into turn 2. Does the pacey Williams have the move on Leclerc down into turn 2 before they even get into the braking zone? I think they do. Leclerc looks to try and fight and hold on to it. They're side by side return 2 as Alex Albon's forced off and loses a position to Lewis Hamilton, I think, as Lewis Hamilton is now side by side with Albon as they head into turn 5, and Charles Leclerc and Alex Albon go side by side. Albon went for it, and Hamilton says, yes, thank you very much, as Albon was forced off the racing circuit there. by Charles Leclerc. I'm waiting to see a replay of exactly what occurred, as yes, Alex Albon did get side by side with Charles Leclerc, who defended to the inside. Albon swept around the outside, and he wasn't far enough ahead of Charles Leclerc, and Albon had to very well car control, went over the gravel, and Charles Leclerc was late on the brakes there, and yes, he was entitled to that corner. Great racecraft there from Charles Leclerc to hold off the pacier Alex Albon, but it's not over and done with yet. Hamilton is on fresher tyres compared to his teammates. Will Hamilton go for a move on Charles Leclerc? It's not over yet. Alex Albon could be looking to do what Lewis Hamilton does with 3 laps remaining. Verstappen leading from Lando Norris in P2. Forcing another driver off the track is being investigated between Leclerc and Albon. But Hamilton, DRS open. Will he be able to overtake his own teammate down into turn 2? Or will he hold station? Hamilton is going to overtake Leclerc down into turn 2. He does. And Leclerc doesn't have an answer to Lewis Hamilton. Is up 8 positions into P4. Charles Leclerc in P5. And Alex Albon will be looking for revenge there on Charles Leclerc in the closing stages of this race. Albon on the radio stating that wasn't fair. It doesn't look like he was potentially ahead at the apex down into that corner, but we will see as we are on the last lap now, as Max Verstappen is through the start-finish line. The last lap, the final lap for Max Verstappen. If you've enjoyed this race today, guys, if you've enjoyed this watch-along, please hit the like, but importantly, hit the subscribe button. Let's get to 44,000 subscribers, guys. We'll be back next week for, of course, the Monaco Grand Prix, the second race in this triple header. But let's stay on board with Alex Albon. It's been a tremendous race, a comfortable race for Max Verstappen. But Alex Albon, at the last time of asking, can he get dispatched Charles Leclerc now side by side? I think he's ahead of him. I think he's got it done comfortably down into turn 2, and Alex Albon tremendously well after being scarred from being forced off the track by Charles Leclerc. Well, it doesn't matter what the investigation is now, because Alex Albon is in P5 and he's going to secure a top 5 for Alex Albon. What a great result that is. And Hamilton is just going to fall short of a podium, it seems, as Piastri's tyres are truly falling off of a cliff here. But Piastri will have enough with half a lap remaining. But Max Verstappen, he's in P3 in the championship right now. He's 16 points behind Lando Norris. He's going to close that gap at the top of the championship. He overtook Piastri down into turn 2 tremendously well over the outside of Oscar Piastri, and he never looked back. Max Verstappen wins the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix in 2025. Lando Norris gains 2 positions to finish P2, overtaking his teammate out on track, and Piastri will be glad to see the checkered flag, because if he had one more lap, he could potentially lose the podium as Hamilton finishes in P4. Alex Albon, a brilliant P5 from him in the Williams, as Charles Leclerc finishes P6, and he's complaining over the radio about his race and about the racing between Alex Albon. George Russell in P7, down 4 positions. He fell suspect today due to a poor pit stop earlier on. Carlos Sainz in P8, a good recovery from him because he was down in 16th at one point after the first round of pit stops with a poor strategy decision by Williams. Hadjar P9 solid where he started. Bit of a quiet race for Isaac Hadjar. Yuki Tsunoda up 10 positions, Yuki, to score a single point today after starting from the pit lane. Fernando Alonso just unfortunately falling short, guys, of his first points of the season in P11. He didn't deserve that, to be perfectly honest with you. Nico Hulkenberg is in P12. Gasly P13, Liam Lawson 14th, Stroll 15th, down 7 positions. Colapinto finished where he started in 16th. Ollie Behrman in P12. Bortoletto is in 18th. Antonelli and Ocon are your 2 retirements. And well, that is it for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Wow. My expectations were low, ladies and gentlemen, but what an unbelievable race that was. Max controlled that race. He did benefit from a VSC, but what a great race. W's in chat, guys, for that race. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. I wasn't expecting a lot. No further action for Leclerc and Albon, forcing another driver off the track. But Max Verstappen has won that race. Let's have a look at the championship standings and have a look at what that has done to the driver standings. And, well, we can see here that Max Piastri gains 15 points, Norris gains 18 points, and Verstappen gains 25 points. And, well, the order is still as it was before this weekend, but those gaps have closed slightly. Norris gains 3 points on his teammate Piastri there, 146 points to 133. That gap goes from 16 to 13 points. Verstappen, though, gains 12 points on Lando Norris and gains even more, 7 points. 7 points on Norris and gains 10 points on Piastri. 124 points to 146 points. So yes, very, very interesting for the championship standings, guys. Mercedes, no alterations there in the constructors' standings at this moment in time. McLaren are still leading P1, Mercedes in P2, Red Bull Racing in P3, Ferrari P4, Williams in P5, Haas in 6th, Aston Martin in 7th. Unfortunately, a great qualifying from them yesterday, but they were not able to convert into a race into race points today. Racing Bulls in 8th. They gained 2 points, but they're still behind Aston Martin in 7th. Alpine in 9th and Kick Sauber in 10th. But what a race.